Good afternoon, everybody. Here we are at the Connections podcast, and I'm very, very excited about today's guest. My name is Neil with The Deal, and today's guest, it's a very special, very interesting person. We actually met, almost a year ago? Yeah, almost a year ago. She actually came out to one of our events through a mutual friend, and it's been a pretty interesting year, so I'm very excited so she can share a little bit of her story. And, she's a wholesaler, she's a licensed realtor, and she has an insurance background, so she already had sales experience. So, she just started killing it in the real estate industry. So here's Jeanette Rose.
Thank you for having me on your podcast. Yeah, I'm super excited. We met about a year. Well, it's going to be a year in August.
It's been like 9-10 months, yeah.
Yeah, 9-10 months. So it was kind of interesting on how we met. All through a networking event. I believe that was your first one at the time.
Yeah.
So just to kind of go into a little bit about me, my background, just like you said, I was in the insurance industry for about 2 years. I was doing that full time. So I kind of already had the entrepreneurship background, to be honest. I was working a 9-to-5 and in the insurance. Kind of left the 9-to-5 going into like my second year of being in the insurance industry. So I was a whole year entrepreneurship. I wasn't working at 9-to-5 anymore. But last year, February, I decided to get my real estate license. I had put that on pause.
It's been over a year now then.
Yeah, it's been over a year. The first 6 months, to be quite honest, I didn't know what I wanted to do with it. So I was kind of in limbo. I did, just like everybody goes to a brokerage, you sign up with them, but then what do you do next kind of thing. So I did get a little feel of how it was to show houses, properties. And I really didn't like that. The only reason why I didn't like that is because I have 2 kids. It was a lot of time consuming for me. And I was just in the mindset of wanting to be present for them. So I needed to look for something that was going to allow me to do just that. So make long story short, I come across a TikTok video and it had, there was just different ways of doing real estate. And one of the ways that really kind of piqued my interest is when the seed was planted in my head, was when I seen a video about wholesaling. I don't know who video was, but I just seen one. And I'm like, what? You don't need a real estate license? I just went through all of that to get my license and you don't need one?
Yeah.
So that piqued my interest. Like, you can do wholesaling and still be able to acquire properties, being able to sell them or keep them for yourself. And my husband doesn't have a real estate license. So I'm like, we were in business together. That's how me and my husband met, in the insurance industry. So we were in business together. I'm like, hey, let's kind of look into this. I looked into it for a little bit. It just sounded too good to be true. I had a friend that is like, hey, come to an event. And I'm like, cool. Okay, who's going to be there? Like, because I'm all about being intentional.
Course.
Especially with my time, so I'm really like, okay, if I'm gonna go out and pretty much not have the time to be with my kids, like, I have to make it worth my time, kind of thing. So they're like, there's gonna be speakers, a wholesaler, this. I was like, wholesaling? So automatically I'm like, okay, I'm going. So that's how that all came about. And that's what piqued my interest. We went to the event and then that's how we met.
Yeah, it's interesting because prior to that, before that was the first event, but before events or anything, I had never been asked like, hey, do you coach? Right. And it's funny that after the first event, you and your husband, came up to me and were like, hey, do you coach? And I was like, what was the response? I remember I was like, no, I don't.
Right.
I've usually just do it within like my own company and stuff, but never like as I guess like a job or a career, I guess you can call it, right?
Right.
And it's funny, we met through Zoom, her and her husband, and I showed her like kind of like my systems and everything, and they're like, well, do you coach? you know,
Yeah,
you know, and then I was just like, well, let me get back to you. Right. And I thought about it, and, you know, we came up with something, and, you know, we both agreed, and it happened. And then how long did it take you to get your first deal? It was like 3-4 months, maybe?
Yeah, it took me 4 months exactly.
Yeah.
To get the first one.
Yeah. How did it feel? It felt good, huh?
Oh yeah, it felt good.
Yeah.
It felt really good.
So yeah, because the coaching was 90 days, and, you know, like 2.5 months, or like right before it was about to end, you were like, hey, I'm learning here more, learning more here than at my brokerage.
Yeah.
I was like, can I come work with you? And then I was like, you know, yeah, let's do it. You know, we just spent almost 3 months getting trained. Like, let's do it. And yeah, you came on board and started working with us. And, you know, it took you 4 months. When was the first official closing? It was January 1st. I remember, or January 2nd.
What I call closing is when it became more real was when the money hit my account.
When the wire hit.
Yeah. When the wire hit my account, then I'm like, oh my God. So to be exact, January 3rd.
Oh, okay. Yeah. You have the better date.
It would be January 3rd. I remember that.
Yeah. But it's interesting because from that day to like even the first quarter of the year, like you did very well.
Oh yeah.
And it trickled, right? And remember when we started coaching, it was, hey, you got to build the pipeline. Hey, you got to build the pipeline. Right. And then that's all it is. You just build the pipeline. Most people can't get past, you know, it takes 3 to 6 months to build the pipeline, depending on what kind of support you have and what your skill set is. If you have no skill set, obviously it'll take longer, you know, it'll take closer to 6 months. If you have the support and you already have sales experience and stuff, you'll do it sooner. But yeah, once that first wire hit, you were like, I need more, huh?
Yes.
Yeah.
It becomes, I don't want to say like an addiction, but it really does. It like the thrill. Like I like it's weird, but I just like the pressure you're in to get the deal, to get the close, to be in more, not just speaking on myself, but being able to help someone in a situation. Cause that first deal wasn't just your regular, like, hey, I'm having the seller sell me a property because they want to sell. You know, it was kind of like we were there at the right time, following up. That seller was actually going through something. Yeah. You know, and we helped him out with that. So that right there was like, okay, this is what we do. We're not just, we're in it to make some sort of income, you know, but we're also in it. I got the feeling of like being in it to help somebody else when they needed the most help possible. Yeah, like being at service, huh? Yeah, like finding a solution for them. Exactly. You know, and a lot of people with the whole like wholesaling or cash offers and stuff, a lot of people think it's quote unquote stealing people's equity, right? But then in a situation like that where you can't list it, he had a squatter, the property needed to be cleaned up, he just wanted out. Like what's the option in there? If you're licensed, you walk away from it? No. You know, so you have to find that solution. And then I remember because it was a cold call lead, how important was it to have a support system in order to get it across the finish line? Super, super important, because it's not, one thing is to get the deal, to get the contract, everything else that comes in between that to make the deal happen, you know, and you can't just do it all by yourself. Yeah. So being able to call somebody and say, hey, what do I do next? Or, hey, you know, like this is going on, like is, you know, what direction do I go in at that point? Looking back, like you said, you know, even I was amazed. Like when I remember calling the team and I'm like, this is not your normal property. Like this is bad. Like this is not good. Like, are we even like able to do this? And I remember sending the pictures out, and you probably thought she's just being over dramatic. I've done a lot of deals. So when she was like, hey, it's really bad. And I was like, how bad can it be? Like, I've seen a lot of stuff. You get what I'm saying? We've done over 200 transactions. I was like, dude, I've seen a lot. When she said it was bad, this property was the worst I've ever personally seen. I didn't even step foot in this house. The appraiser didn't want to step foot in this house because it was a safety hazard. Yep. It was insane. Yes. It was It was horrible.
And someone was living there.
Yeah, somebody was living there. I didn't even step foot in the house, but support team, like the team that we had, where I would call you, and then I gotta, my dad actually was like, okay, I'll help you out too. So it took a lot of people to get to the finish line. So that is completely, I would say that is super important, is having that support team.
Yeah, for sure. Especially just being on call, literally, like, because it's, you run into all kinds of scenarios, right? When you're learning, a lot of questions come up. And that's how you're doing the work if questions are coming up.
Right.
Like I've had students on my weekly calls. Well, they'll just sit there and they don't ask any questions the entire call. And I'm like, dude, are you guys even working?
Right.
Because I remember when I was new, I asked a ton of questions because I was out there like, hey, I was running into all kinds of scenarios where, you learn how to maneuver through the scenarios after a while, right?
Yeah.
And then, in this journey, what's been the biggest challenge for you?
In this journey, the biggest challenge was I'm going to say my mindset. I already come from, you already have to have a mindset if you're already in entrepreneurship and the industry I was in. But here, coming into a whole new industry, not even though I knew it was happening for other people, the question was, is it going to happen for me? Mm-hmm. And believing in me and knowing in the unknown, because I didn't know when that deal was going to come, Yeah. And stay very focused. So that right there was super key. And my husband had a lot to do with that, to be honest, because in my journey in this business, like, a lot of people look at the result, right? What people have or what people make, whatever it might be, but they don't look the work that you put behind it. It's a lot of work.
It's a ton of work.
Like, I can sit here and you can ask me and it seems simple, because it is, right? Yeah. You say, well, I'm on the phone. I just sit there. I'm on the phone all day. But when you're actually sitting there yourself on the phone all day, Monday through Friday, day in and day out, you're not getting paid anything.
Yeah.
You're doing this all day, so.
You don't know when the next deal is going to come.
Exactly. You're like, is this, like, you start questioning, that's where the mindset, like, you start questioning yourself. Like, we're human, so it's something that we automatically do, but just really staying focused and know that you're no different than other people. Other people go through the same thing. It's just not, that's not what you see.
Yeah.
You see the result,
Exactly.
So.
And it's funny because I've experienced something very similar, and it's like the journey of success, right? Like when you start in an industry, you feel like you're going through something unique, and then you talk to somebody else that's already having success in that industry, and they're like, no, I went through the same thing. It's all just part of the journey. And then you realize, like, oh shit, maybe my it's not as unique as I thought, and it's just part of the journey.
Right.
And then it gives you it gives a little more, at least for me, it gives the confidence to keep going.
Yep.
Knowing like, oh shit, they went through it too. It's not just me. So it's like, it's normal, I guess you can say, right? Part of the journey.
Exactly.
Yeah. So then, saying, being on the phone, like you said, it's simple. But if you're there on the phone all day, you get all kinds of stuff. You get people cussing at you, like, what does your day consist of? Like, you're literally just explain that, like, you're literally on the phone all day.
So, okay, I'll just kind of go in it, like, in depth, kind of. Well, yeah, I'll be completely transparent. I have a notebook, and I'm very, like, the night before, I always know what I'm going to do the next day. So I already know, like, this is Monday through Friday. Like, there's no breaks. Like, this is what I do literally Monday through Friday. My day starts at 5 a.m. So from me reading, meditation to the gym, my day starts at 8 a.m. when it comes on the phone. So from 8 to 12, I'm on the phone. 8 to 12, I'm on the phone. From 12 to 3, I'm on YouTube. from what the calls I went through 8 to noon, then I get on YouTube, or then you would come into play, right?
Mm-hmm.
When we were in coaching, Neil, this happened, this call went like this. What do I say?
She called me every day too, which is awesome. You right?
Right. Well, I'm like,
getting your money's worth. Yeah.
Yes. I'm like, I'm going to, I signed up for it. So I'm like, shoot, I'm going to use it. I need to learn it. Like, I need to make this happen. I had no choice. So, it was YouTube. It was even, it was you, Carlos. I was just calling. I'm like, you know what? At this point, I want to call him and I'm going to get my questions answered.
And we always answered.
Right. So, or I'll text you and I'll be like, hey, I did call you. Like, are you calling back? But so that happened from noon to 3. And then from 3 to 7 on the phones again all day. So, I mean, if you do the hours, that's what, about
8 hours on the phone.
Yeah, 8 hours literally on the phone. So that's Monday through Friday.
And how many people, because I've seen people where they're like, hey, I'm doing about $30 a day, right? And people assume that that's a lot. And then they'll be like, I only had 1 or 2 conversations. Like, how many conversations did you strive to have per day to get a deal?
Okay, so I dialed like number per number. And I was keeping track of this because of what you had said.
Yeah.
When we were, okay, you need this, you want to make how much, this is what you need to call, and you need to have at least 3 to 4 conversations a day. However it looks like, whatever those conversations look like, you need to talk to somebody. So I dialed 100 numbers a day, sometimes 150, depending on the times that I was on the phone that allowed me to dial. But I always made sure it was at least 100.
Yeah.
And then I had about, on a bad day, it would be 4 conversations. But sometimes I had no conversation.
Yeah.
It just, it depended on what the day was going to give me, who I was going to call, At first, now, when I didn't get any conversations, that's where the mindset came into play. Like, dang, I didn't get no, because I knew once I had a conversation, it became a follow-up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So obviously I was striving to get talk time. Give me some talk time. Yeah. Like, tell me something, but that all comes with experience. You know what I mean? And I mean, but it took all that time. So,
and then to do the talk time, because a lot of people, they'll call, right? I've heard people call. Even me, when I started, I would call and then they'll be like, I'm not interested. Okay, cool. Thank you.
Oh yeah, no, you don't. So,
you have to have some type of level of relentless and be like, and try to keep them on the phone, because sometimes they'll be like, oh no, thank you. And then they'll be like, okay, cool. And you hang up. But if you try to keep them on the phone, sometimes you can convert those. Even if they don't give you a deal right away, at least now it was a good conversation. And like you said, you had that talk time.
Right. Yep. That's true. People tell me I'm not interested all the time. Be like, okay, you're not interested right now. It doesn't mean you won't be interested later. Things do happen in the future. Can I follow up with you then? Well, I don't think things will follow up. I don't think things will happen in the future. Well, I can't predict the future. You can't either. Is it okay if I follow up with you? And then there will be like, okay, fine, just go ahead and call me. And that's what I do. I mean, I always try to spin it some way, I've had, how you said, you have the calls where they cuss you out. I've been cussed out too. I mean, you just have to, at first it's kind of like, I even called you on that one. On the first one, I was like, and because he called me back, and cussed me out. But I'm like, what do you do at that point? Because I'm very like, what? Like, I'm not going to let someone tell me that, and I'm not just quick to hang up. So it really checked me on that. That's like, okay, you got to realize people are getting a lot of calls. And if that was me, I got to put myself in their shoes. How would I sound different than everybody else that's calling? And how would I react? Even though they told me off doesn't mean I'm not going to call them back.
Of course.
I'll call them back a different day. Like they're just having a bad day.
Or if they hang up, hey, we just got disconnected.
I always say, I believe I got disconnected. Some have told me, no, I hung up. I'm like, oh, okay, then I'll just call you at a better time. And I'll be like, have a great day. And then they'll be like, they're just like, huh? Like what? Like, but
just kill them with kindness.
Yeah.
The thing too is that once you do it so much, you become numb to it.
Yep.
Like eventually you'll get cussed out and then you even laugh about it. Like sometimes we'll be on the phone and we still get cussed out to this day.
Yeah.
And then I'm just like, dude, can you believe this guy? We'll just start cracking up. Like this guy must be having a terrible day,
Yes.
So it's hilarious. And it just comes with, like you said, experience and time, and you just got to keep going. Yeah. And then question, how many deals have you gotten since we started coaching and stuff? Because I know you said it took you 4 months. So you closed your first one January 3rd. So it'd be from January 3rd to now.
I would say 6.
6, right?
Yeah, about 6 or 7.
Yeah, that's good.
And that was all follow-up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that comes into play, like say like the CRM and following up with the leads. But yeah, seven deals in the first 3 months of the year is like really good.
Right.
I actually did a presentation at an office the other day, and the top agent had done 3 deals.
Okay.
In the year. And the top agent of the entire office, 150 agents, had 124,000 in commissions. 7 deals. I mean, what did we do? It was like over 150 for sure.
Yeah.
200. It was. Yeah, I need to check now.
Good.
It was a good first quarter.
Yeah.
It was a good first quarter. But then again, it's the pipeline, and then you'll go dry for 3-4 months, and then out of nowhere they just start coming.
Yeah.
And they just start coming, and then it comes in waves. At least for me, like it'll be good, and then I'll have a dry spell sometimes, and it's just part of the business, and then it'll be really good. But then the goal now, once you know how to find deals, it's not, can I get a deal? It's how consistent can I keep it?
Right.
How consistent can I keep it? And just not blowing your money. You get what I'm saying? Once you start making the money. And so question, where do you see yourself in the next 1 to 2 years? I'm taking notes. I took notes, by the way, guys. This is cool.
Where do I see myself? Well, I mean, I don't want to drag it out too much, but I came in this business to make it a family business. My dad's he's been in construction all his life.
Yeah.
Right. So I came into real estate. I did come into real estate because I wanted to, but I wanted to find something that we can all kind of come in together, make money, kind of get out of the 9 to 5, the rat race, and be able to have a business mindset and just have generational wealth. To be honest, that's super big to me.
So when you're saying generational wealth, what does that mean?
I mean, where my kids don't have to start where I started from. Building a business where they can fall back to and not work at a McDonald's, which I have nothing against that, but this is just what I want.
Yeah, they're making $20 an hour.
Yeah, before at my time, shoot, I'm gonna probably say my age, but minimum wage wasn't $20. So I just look at the cost of living. I have kids, so I don't want my kids to, even though they're going to worry in their own ways, I just want to be able to, as a parent, being able to create something that they can have and they can see, well, if my mom can do it, I can do it too, kind of thing. So my 1 year to 2 year, I want to be able to get into the flipping space where I can flip, or I can buy my own properties, and have my dad, come in with the construction, things like that. And I don't know. There's just, to be honest, that's my overall thing. But it is in 1 to 2 years being able to create that.
Yeah.
A business where it allows me to flip, to develop,
yeah,
certain things. So
that's awesome. Yeah, it took me 10 years to do that with maybe because I started really young, and it took me a long time to have my dad take me serious. But now we flip together, so it's cool. We yell at each other all the time. It's hilarious.
Yeah. I see that happening. But I mean, you know,
you don't, and you don't need a lot of money. Like, I mean, what's considered a lot of money, right? But for most people think you need $500,000, $1 million to flip. You don't. You only need $100,000, right. which in this business, it's not a lot of money. You can make that fairly quickly.
Right.
You know, you can do that in 3, 4, 5, 6 months, like quick.
Yeah.
So
no, I see that. I mean, this business, I mean, has allowed me to, you know, like I said in the beginning, has allowed me to be very consistent with my kids, being present.
Yeah.
You know,
and you're working from home.
Yeah. Being able to work from home, doing deals from home. I mean, I'm loving it, to be honest.
That's good. So. And how important would you say that the coaching came into play? Because a lot of people, you know, they want to get into the business and they go to these events and they feel like these people are just trying to sell them products and sell them stuff or coaching, which they are. But then you have to learn how to choose the right coach and the right person. Like, you have to see who that person is and kind of like their intentions behind it.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? And if I could give anybody a tip out there, I think the best coaches are not people that already have huge coaching agencies. They might be great, but at that level, you're not going to have enough time with them because they have so many clients and they already have coaches under them. So what you want to do is you want to find somebody local that's already doing, you know, very well or on their way to do very well. And then because they don't have that, like, say in this case, like you were my first coaching client.
Right.
And it was good because she got a lot of one-on-one time. Like, she had my direct cell number, you know, and a lot of I've joined programs where I don't even get the main guy's cell phone number and I don't even have access to him. I have to call his people. So finding somebody local that's still up and coming, that, you know, but you got to pay to play. Like, you got to pay the price. Like, if it's going to take you 5 years with, you know, for me, I've been in the industry almost 10 years. You know, if I would have started with the coach at the beginning, I don't know, I would be in a way better position than I am now. You know, it was only until 3 years ago when I started hiring coaches, and I've spent a lot of money on coaches. And just be careful out there on who you choose, but also don't be afraid to invest in yourself.
Right. I'm big on that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's funny that you asked that question, but I always, even people that hit, you know, that ask me, even before this industry, I'm big on coaching. I'm always going to invest in myself. You know what I mean? Because I feel, I mean, even though people look at me in a certain way or that I do have time, I feel like I have no time. Like, I need to make it happen now, like right now, you know? So if I can pay for someone to show me how to do that and not take me 5 years to do it on my own, then I'm going to pay for someone to show me how to do that quicker than 5 years and being able to gain that knowledge. Right.
Yeah.
Because I know whoever, so like you had mentioned, you've been in real estate for 8 years, right? Mm-hmm. So you've gone through some things that, like you've failed at some things before. Maybe you're like, maybe I won't do that again. Yeah. Or you learned, or you learned from it, you know?
Yeah.
So, but you were on your own. So I'm gonna, you know, like when me and my husband went on the Zoom, I'm like, well, do you coach? It all sounds, I'm like, I know I needed the CRM, I'll get it, but do you coach? Because I need a coach. I need you to teach me what you know. Yeah. You know, and teach me not just what you know, the good, but teach me the bad too. Like, hey, you don't want to do that, because if you do that, this is going to happen to you because it happened to me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Kind of thing. So I'm big on, you need coaching. No matter what, you need it, you know? But I will say this, even because you get coaching, you have to do the work to whatever coaching material is being given. You really have to take it serious. Not just because someone puts the money out means you're going to get a result. You know what I mean? You have to put time, a lot of time behind what you're being taught and apply it. You can know everything in the world, but if you don't apply what you're learning, it's never going to happen. You know, so my mindset is, you know, just like how like I told you, and I was transparent. I paid, I'm going to blow you up. Like, I'm going to call you, and I'm going to, you know, and I, what do you need me to do? And why am I doing this? And how? And, you know, I'm going to ask the questions Because why? Because I already invested. Like, I need to make that money back, you know, and
which you have,
right,
like 7-fold, you know,
yeah. So
7-8-fold, you know, in a 6-month period. That's phenomenal.
Yep. So so I would say this, yes, get coaching, but if you're not going to put the work in, then don't get it.
Yeah.
Because when it
save your money.
Yep. When it comes down to, like, you have to put work in whatever you do.
Yeah.
So
yeah, no one's going to do it for you.
Exactly.
You know, all it is information. I think a big portion of where coaching comes in handy too is like, you know, learning obviously the business structure and structuring deals, but it's like those days where, like you said, you don't get any contacts or you get cussed out, and, you know, you call your coach and it's like, dude, I just got cussed out. I was like, get over it. It's part of the business, you know, and then you're like, okay, I'm going to shake it off. Right. But on the other hand, if you're alone, it'll eat you up. It'll eat you up. So yeah, do you want to give any tips to anybody that wants to get into wholesaling or has thought about getting into wholesaling or even real estate in general?
Any tips? There's a lot of tips I can give. To be honest, I can be here all day. We kind of gave some already, you know. Even when you're calling it, what I would say is get yourself on a routine, on a schedule, and really dedicate and have, not just dedicate, but really have discipline and actually do it fully. Like, don't think because you are on the phone for 1 hour and you didn't get the response you wanted, that's enough. I was on the phone today. No, like, it takes consistency, discipline to doing it day in and day out, whether you get a result that day or not. I would say that's the biggest thing. Like, that's the biggest key, gem, nugget that, you know, that people want to call it, is get yourself on a routine and really get the knowledge, and not just get and absorb the knowledge, but you have to apply what knowledge you're being given. You know what I mean? Now here's the thing. You got to really take your coach seriously. And I think that's something as adults is hard for us to do.
Don't waste their time.
Yeah. I come from a sports background.
Yeah.
So I just look at it as a sport. I want to be good at this game. So whatever the coach says, whatever play they call, I'm going to do it. And I'm going to ask why I'm doing it. You know, so that's what I look at business overall. So if you go that route, stay on a routine. If it happened for me, it will happen for you. It's just a matter of time.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a book. It's called Talent is Never Enough. And it talks about, like, having to work. There's always going to be that person that's willing to outwork. And even if sometimes it takes a little longer for somebody else, as long as they stay consistent and work, they will surpass the person that isn't putting in the work.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? Say they start at the same place. So that's awesome. So yeah, I want to thank you for being on here today and taking the time out of your day and doing this. Where can they find you if they have any questions?
You can find me on social media on my IG. So it's _ Jeanette Rose. And I'm going to spell Jeanette because people always spell it wrong. It's JeAnette Rose.
Perfect. _ Jeanette Rose. Awesome. So yeah, thank you guys for joining us. You know, if you can look me up, Neil with the Deal, on Instagram. You guys have any questions? Again, it's very, very important to hire a coach, whether it's myself or anybody else. It doesn't matter if you pick me or not. We're in the real estate business, but it's important to have one. So if you guys have any questions, reach out to us, reach out to Jeanette. She's here to help. And yeah, we'll see you guys next time.
Yeah.